Welcome to Drafting Out Loud's breaking news week 17 updates brought to you by the Leverage Lab. On today's episode, we go over the newest week 17 game, the Bears versus the Lions. We talk about those two teams briefly. Then we'll go into our Leverage Lab and see how we did in pre-draft best ball. Last but not least, we'll go and look at their ADPs and see if there's anything that we think will change. Let's first talk about the two teams. Looking at Bleacher Report rankings for defenses, which isn't like anything scientific, but it's something simple we could pull up. Chicago Bears are the 24th best defense, so one of the worst ones, while the Detroit Lions are the 11th best defense. One of the better ones, not the best, but one of the better ones. That being said, both of these teams do have rather explosive offenses with lots of offensive firepower at the receiving and tight end positions with quarterbacks that can make it happen as well and pass catching running backs. So this could be a pretty exciting game depending how it turns out. If there's one piece of bad news, and it's kind of a pretty big bad news depending on what happens in week 17, it's the weather. This game is in Chicago. And Chicago does not look great a lot of times around that time. If this game was in Detroit, it would be in a dome, which would be a lot better. So that's a little unfortunate. So if you're a weather bro, this is a game you might not want to target. But if you're willing to roll the dice and see what happens, this is a good game to probably target with, again, powerful offenses, regardless of their defenses. Let's get into the Leverage Lab and see how we did in our pre-draft best ball for these two teams. The first players that we're going to look at are, let's kind of pull that up. There we are. Is Jahmyr Gibbs. We're just going to go in order of ADP like we did in the previous one. Looking at Jahmyr Gibbs here, we have him on 12.5% of our games. We can see here that we sprinkled in different Chicago Bears at different times. Jahmyr Gibbs is a pass catching running back, so it's nice to have him on different teams. You can see that we have him how many times again? 9 times. We have one of those times we're going to have him with Jared Goff stacked up. And then hopefully in a totally different game, we'll have Caleb Williams on the other side. So it's nice to have a quarterback on one of those two teams. And then have a bunch of explosive pass catchers. Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland. We even have Cole Kmet on one of them. What is up with that? So looks okay. We don't have as much bring backage as we'd like, if that's a word, and maybe not as much stackage as we want. But again, oftentimes people aren't stacking up the QBs with the running backs, but I think Jahmyr Gibbs might be an exception. But that's what we got going on with Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's go look at Amon Ra. With Amon Ra, we got him stacked up with the QB one time as well. So it looks like we haven't really been targeting the Detroit stacks a whole lot. As much as just the Detroit players, though, we've been kind of hitting at or above their rate. Again, one time with Jared Goff. If we go down here, we have him one time with Caleb Williams as well. So hopefully, again, those are on different games. You can see we got Rome Odunze 2 times, explosive pass catcher. Colston Loveland, explosive tight end pass catcher. We do have him also bring back with Swift and Monangai. The Swift one, not bad, pass catching running back. Monangai, not as desirable, more of the grinder, which might make it mean it's a slower game if we have that one make it to week 17. Now we got a couple Bears. Let's look at Luther Burden. We have him on 5.6% of our teams, a little less than the other guys, a little less than average. We did stack up. You can see here, Caleb Williams on 100% of the teams, Rome Odunze on half, and then one of them with Kyle Monangai as well. Again, if that Kyle Monangai one makes it, maybe is a little bit of a grinding game if he goes there. We didn't really stack up Luther Burden a whole lot here. One time with Jahmyr Gibbs, one time with Sam Laporta. But we do have, again, all four of them with Caleb Williams. So if it's like a Caleb Luther game and one of these guys goes off, would look good. Let's go look at Colston Loveland. I think I have a lot. I know I have a lot of Colston Loveland overall. Not like anything crazy, but 12.5%, the same as Jahmyr Gibbs, it looks like. I stacked him up with Caleb on about half the teams. and then Rome Odunze twice and Kalmanungai twice as well. So you can see on average, Colston Loveland's kind of chilling by himself with maybe one other bear. And then even when I stack him up with the bears, it's only him and another most of the time. Not oftentimes are there three bears on the same team. I do have a lot of Caleb here, so it's nice to see not a lot of Jared Goff. You can have two quarterbacks from the same game, but it's nice when you don't because maybe if this game doesn't go off, then you have another game that does go off, and that quarterback is the one that kind of makes it happen for you. If you have both quarterbacks from the same game, you're even more hyper focused on that one game. So there we go. But explosive pass catcher and explosive runner on the other side. Let's go look at Jameson Williams. I think Jameson Williams are more like, yep, 4.2. It's more similar to ownership like Luther Burden. I did stack up Williams on all three of them. So I wasn't able to stack him up much with, or Jared Goff much with Amon Ra or Gibbs, but I definitely stacked up Jameson Williams. All three of the teams stacked up. Let's see what we got down here. Only one of the teams is stacked up with brought back with Caleb Williams. So that's nice not to see too many. Like we were saying, you don't want to have, I mean, it's not horrible, but in general, having both quarterbacks on both sides of the ball in week 17 has its advantages, but it also has its disadvantages. So not horrible, but you probably don't want to see all three with Caleb Williams and all three with Jared Goff. There we go. Not bad. Three of the teams with DeAndre Swift. I let DeAndre Swift fall a lot of times into the sixth round. So a lot of this is sixth round DeAndre Swift, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, what do we got next? We're going to look at three more. We got Rome Odunze, the third of the three Bears main pass catchers. Okay, we got him stacked with Caleb Williams on almost half the teams and also bringing him with another player a couple times. You can see oftentimes it's hard to get too many Bears stacked together unless you draft them really early, and that has its downsides as well. So a lot of more skinny stacks with the Bears. One of those with Kalmanungai here, four of them, again, about half of them with Caleb Williams. Do have them with Colston Loveland twice with Luther Burden. 10 times with Rome total, so I could have a couple of these where it's just like Rome and Colston, but no Caleb Williams or something like that too. But look at all these lines we have here. We have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we could have we got a line, excuse me. We got a line in a lot of the games here. Jared Goff in one of them and Caleb Williams in four of them. Hopefully they're not doubled up like we were saying, but that looks pretty good right there. We got two more players we're going to look at. We're going to look at Caleb Williams. We always stacked up Caleb Williams. We have him in 13.9% of our teams. We took him at around ADP, the current ADP, right now, not the ADP in pre-best ball. And we got him stacked up with Colston Loveland 5 times, Rome Odunze 4 times, Burden 4 times, and Monangai 2 times. So we don't have Swift stacked up at all, is what's going on there. Did we look at Swift? I think we might have skipped Swift, actually. Okay, a lot of different lines, though. So as long as we have that'd be nice, like one different line in each of them. I'm sure we had Jared Goff stacked up on one of them, but it'd be nice if we have just a bunch of one-offs and then one of those games goes off nicely. Let's look at Swift really quick. We skipped him. We have him in 6.9% of our teams. We can see here we let him fall a lot of times to the sixth round. And because of that, we have 0 stacks going on here with him. That's okay, because Caleb also went in the 6th. It was hard to get Swift and Caleb together unless you either took Swift at cost or Caleb fell or something like that. We do have him brought back with a number of Lions. It looks like one of them is with Jared Goff, so not bad. Not bad at all. Last but not least, let's look at Jared Goff as the last one. We know that Jared Goff is going to be with at least Swift in one game. Only 3 Jared Goff teams, so we didn't draft Jared Goff heavily as we kind of noticed going through everything else. We do have Isaac Tesla and JMO on all of our Goff teams, though, so we know where our bread will be buttered if a Detroit team from the pre-best ball makes it to the finals. And then we got a Swift, a Caleb, and an Odunze. A little unfortunate that we know that all like again, one of those games is going to be a Jared Goff, Caleb Williams guaranteed thing, which isn't bad. It's just one. That's okay. That's okay. There we go. Those are the bringbacks for the Bears, the main bringbacks for the Bears versus Lions. Now, looking at ADP here, uh, they seem to be spread out pretty well. We talked about what might happen with the previous game, Ravens versus Bengals. I'm not sure if things are going to change in this one. We got one guy on the left side of the board, one guy on the right side of the board. Luther Burden is over here at pick number 43. That is kind of the what? That's the kind of the left side of the board for the most. Like that's the middle of the board. Middle of the board. Colston Loveland, 47. 47 is more the left side of the board. JMO, 48, left side of the board. DeAndre Swift, 54. That's kind of the middle of the board. Roma Dunze, 56. Now you're getting like the middle right-hand side of the board. And you got Caleb at 70. 70 is kind of in the middle of the board. No, that's, yeah, middle of the board, leftish middle of the board. And then you got Jared Goff at, or we got Monungai there, whatever. Sam Laporta, left-hand side of the board right now. And Jared Goff, 105 now. 105, that would be kind of the, yeah, the middle of the board, rightish middle side of the board. So there's just so, these players kind of go in all different places all the time already. Unlike the Bengals, Ravens, where there's players that like are always going on the right side of the board every single time. I I don't know how much we're going to see these ADPs change. I see these players move all over the place. And so I think there's just going to be more of that or a reason to do it now, like a reason to pull some of these players up or a reason not to. But there's always been a reason because you always maybe want to try to stack or something like that. I don't think I expect too much ADP movement. And a lot of these players are already priced up pretty significantly, right? First round. Luther Burden, pretty darn expensive for what he did last year. Colston Loveland, pretty darn expensive as well, hoping that what he did at the end of the season is true. And then after that you got um I don't know if you say they're expensive or not expensive. I feel like they're a little bit on the expensive side, but I do take some of all of these players because of them being on explosive offense. And there's a chance that like Odunze becomes better than Burden or Loveland becomes better than Burden. But either way, as you can tell from even how I feel about it, I don't think we're going to see much movement in these players. So tell me if I'm wrong. Do you expect to see some major movement based on this? How did I do with my bringbacks? And I will see you on the next one. Peace.